What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. On today's video, I'm going to be building a PC from scratch. Now, I'm sure there's others out there that feel this is overwhelming and too hard to do, but with a little research, I want to show you that it's possible even for someone like me that doesn't really know much. So, wish me luck and let's jump right into it. So first things first, let's start with the case. I got the NZXT710i. Now I decided to go with this one because it has extra fans, slots, case fans, and a lot more room to work with. So it'd be easier for a beginner like myself building my first one, better cable management and everything. And it's gonna have some better airflow. Now one thing that worried me, as you can see, look how the box came all banged up. And here, I don't know if you could see it, but there's scratches on the tempered glass. But luckily, I already took this off and only the film was scratched up. The glass seems to be fine, but that was definitely something that worried me when I first got this. So in this box, here comes the standoff screws and some other adapters for the case and the instructions, of course. So the next thing on the list is the power supply. Now, I went with Corsair because I looked at reviews and this seems to be one of the top rated power supplies. Now I went with the 850 even though it's a little more than what I need. I need probably around 650, but in case I ever upgrade in the future, I know the power supply will be able to handle it. So I know it's a little overkill, but it's just to kind of future proof. So here we have the power supply and all of these cables. Now all of these could look overwhelming, but the good thing is that we're not going to be using them all. So we'll be able to have a nicer cable management setup. So on the bottom of my case, I have a dust filter here, which means I can put my fan facing down and the dust filter will help any dust from getting in the fan. I guess I can also do it facing upwards, but I'm gonna choose to have it going down since I have this. So the first cable we're gonna be connecting is the 24 pin, which goes to the motherboard. So on the power supply, we're gonna be connecting this right here. So this end here is going to go into the power supply. Now this end is going to connect into the motherboard. It's the power for the CPU. Now these connectors here, there's 8, but they break off into 4 and 4. So there's some that may need 4 or 8, so you have the option of both. So the next cable is going to be the PCIe power cable. This we're going to connect into the power supply. And then the other end here, as you can see, we have a 6+2. Some graphics cards may require 6 or 8, so you have the option of both. And of course here, there's another 6+2. So there it is, the SATA cable. I plugged it in right here. So next, we're gonna put the power supply inside the case right here. As you can see, there's little holes here. There's gonna be 4 screws that we're gonna screw the power supply into the case. Alright, so now the power supply is installed. I found it easier to put the bracket on the power supply and then tighten the bracket to the case. So now we're going to move on to the motherboard. And the reason I went with this motherboard is because the Z390, from what I was researching, is best for the i9, Intel i9 9900K. And it has the Wi-Fi built in, so if I ever need to troubleshoot anything, it'll make it a lot easier. You have some instructions, some stickers, and some more cables. So the Intel i9 9900K, I've seen a lot of reviews and a lot of good reviews, especially for gaming, so that's why I chose this one. So after what felt like putting together in a Rubik's Cube, I finally got this case off. There was so many stickers holding it together. But as you can see inside here, it's just the CPU, nothing else. Alright, so next we're going to be putting the CPU in the motherboard, which goes right here. Now all we're gonna have to do is lift this lever up here. It's gonna open the slot up. Oh, it's hitting that, but let's lift this up like that. So now the CPU is gonna go right in there. Now when you put the CPU in, you're not gonna wanna push it down. You wanna gently lay it there and not touch any pins or anything. And there should be a corner, not sure if you can really see it, but there's an arrow right there, which means that you want the arrow on the CPU. And you see the arrow on the bottom left there of the CPU, you want those to go in the same corner when you install it. So So there we go, we're gently gonna place it there and we're gonna wiggle it, make sure it's in place nice and snug. And then we're gonna go ahead, put the cover back down. And now, as you can see there, this is gonna slide under the screw there. We're gonna put that right under there and we're taking this cover off. That's the CPU. So next we're gonna be installing the RAM. Now I have these rip draws. I actually got these a while ago. They were on my current setup, but I am just gonna still be using them on the new setup. I may get another 2, so I have 4. But the way these are gonna work, you're just gonna literally place them right in these slots. It's pretty simple. Now, if you look in your motherboard manual, it'll tell you the best slots to select depending on how many sticks you're using. So if you're using 1, it tells you to put it there, 2, and 4. So now with RAM, it's pretty simple. There's a little slot here. Now it's not in the center, so there's only one way to really plug this in. As you can see, there's more space over here. So when you line it up, it's only gonna go in one way. Don't force it down if it's not in there right, so make sure you have it the right way before you push it all the way down. So we're opening up that tab. Now this way won't work. The hole's here, the line's there, so I'm gonna flip it. And then when you click it in, this tab over here should pop closed. There we go, it just clicked into place. And then just make sure that it's all the way down on both sides. The one side is not sticking up higher than the other. So next up we have the NVMe M.2. Alright, so first things first, we're gonna take off this cover. Now we're gonna keep these screws because we're gonna reinstall this once we put the M.2 in here. In the instructions, it's telling you to take the sticker off here on the back of the plate. Alright, so plugging this in is pretty simple. Right in there. And now you see how it sticks up a little bit? So we're gonna put the cover on, it's gonna push it down, and the screw, there's a screw hole right there, we're gonna screw it right into, and it's gonna hold it in place. Alright, so we went ahead and removed the sticker. I'm gonna tighten a little on each side at a time to kind of get it even. There we go, M.2 is installed. Alright, so to take off the front panel, you pretty much have to yank it from the bottom, and it's pretty scary because you can probably break one of these little tabs here. Luckily I didn't, but just a little force and then it pops out. And the same thing goes for the top. You pull it from the front here and all these pop off. Alright guys, getting close to the finish line. So now we're gonna be putting the motherboard in the case. As you can tell, there's some standoffs right here. There's one there, one there, one there, there, here, and here's like a little post to help you line it up. So that'll help you line up the motherboard in the center. Then you got another one down there and down here. So there's gonna be a total of, let's say, 8 screws. This one's not gonna have a screw, but the other ones will. There's a little post sticking through that hole right there. Now the rest of the holes, we're just gonna screw those in. Alright, now all 8 of them are tightened. Now you're not gonna over tighten it. It's not good for the motherboard in case you break it, so just do it snug. Alright, so this is the top of the case here. Now I'm gonna be removing this bracket here to install the radiator and the fan, and then putting it back here. So to take this off, there's these little thumb screws that you could just twist or not. They're on there pretty tight. So you could also use a Phillips, but there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we have the CPU cooler. So here's everything that comes with the CPU cooler. You have the bracket depending on the CPU that you're using, the standoffs and everything and all the screws. Yeah, I have the 2 fans here, the cables to plug in the fans and the pump. We have the radiator and the pump. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and mount the radiator on the bracket and the fans. Now I know a common question people have been asking me on some of my other videos, if you have to add the liquid to the liquid cooler, and no, it comes already inside of it. So we're just placing the radiator on the bracket here, then we're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna put the fans on this side, and the fans are gonna screw right onto the radiator. Now this part's, I guess, kind of important because for cable management. So when I put this back on, I'm going to want the cables to be on this side, which is the bottom here. So I want my cables down here, so when I throw this back on, the cables can kind of come through back here and connect. I scooted the radiator over a little bit. I don't have it all the way to the end because I didn't want these hoses hitting this fan here. Now this fan looks like you can adjust it higher or lower. It looks like it's as low as it could go right now. So since this is an Intel, we're gonna be using this bracket here. And all you're gonna do is, depending on what CPU you have, you're gonna be pushing these in or out. These things can move out or in. So for this situation, I'm gonna be pushing them all in and putting these tabs through the holes right here on the back of the motherboard. Who's that?
Hello.
Where are you going?
Look at cuteness.
Bo? He doesn't want to be on camera. He's looking for cuteness too. He's like, where?
Oh, where's cuteness?
Where's cuteness?
Right here.
So you don't want to build a computer with me?
You want to come grocery shopping with me?
I'd much rather build computers.
Okay, bye.
Bye. So next we're going to be installing the standoffs. There should be 4 of them. Now depending once again on the bracket you're using, will depend if you're using this one or the other ones. What was this one or the other ones. So and there are the standoffs. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put the radiator with the bracket on the top of the computer, and then we'll go ahead and install the pump. So next, before I put the pump on the CPU, I'm gonna go ahead and connect these 2 wires to it so it's not difficult while it's on to try to connect it. So this first one's gonna go here on the side, and then the other end here is going to go to one of these USB slots right here down here on the bottom. So next we're going to connect the power cable. Now this has like 2 little notches on the bottom, which matches the bottom of this, so it goes this direction. On the pump here, it already has thermal paste on it, so we're just going to remove this plastic, and now we're going to put the pump. As you can see, it says NZXT, it goes this way. The NZXT is facing us. It's not sideways or upside down. Make sure all the screws are in, and then we're gonna tighten it with these thumb screws here. I hate these tight spaces. Now the best part, well, I'm gonna do that at the end, once everything's done. Alright, so figured I'd start my cable management now. I passed all those cables over through the top. Alright guys, last but not least, the graphics card. Now I went with the 1080 Super. The 1080 Ti was like $400 more. This was about $800. The Ti would have been like $1,200. So the performance upgrade from the Ti compared to the extra money you're paying, I didn't see worth it for what I'm going with. I'm not doing any 4K gaming or anything like that. So this is going to be more than enough for the gaming I'm going to be doing, which is 1080p right now, but I can go up to 1440 and run everything smoothly on this. So if anything, I'll be upgrading my monitors to 1440, 144 Hertz. All right guys, so here it is. Little owner's manual. Here it is all wrapped nicely. Well, I'll tell you what, she is very chunky. Wow. So now the graphics card is pretty much gonna go right in here. Now for the graphics card, when we connect it, we're gonna have to remove some of these. Now depending on the size of your graphics card depends on how many you gotta remove. So those are the 2 slots that my graphics card is going to take. Alright guys, so I freaked out for a moment, not understanding why I didn't see any of my inputs on the side of my graphics card. And then I realized you gotta pull these things off. Wow. We're gonna be using this PCIe X16 right here to plug in the graphics card. And it's gonna stick out here, the 2 slots. So it's literally kind of like the RAM where you literally just click it right in. And that's it. First, make sure to remove the film here on the graphics card. It literally tells you right here, remove protective film before use. And then also right here, covering the slot that we're gonna be plugging in. You're gonna wanna remove this as well, like so. So let's open this up right here, and when we push it in, it should click into place. There we go, it clicked right into place. Now if you look on the side here, this is where you're gonna connect everything into it. So this is where we remove all these for the inputs. So next we're gonna put these 2 screws that came off of these back into its hole to hold the graphics card in place. All right guys, now that we see everything fits nicely in here, I'm gonna go ahead and button up this bracket up here for the radiator. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So let me do that real quick. So I pretty much have these 3 fans right now are drawing air in. These 2 fans up here are drawing air out, and this rear one is also drawing air out. So it kind of creates an airflow coming in here and moving out there. All right guys, so I think I'm gonna end it there for part 1. All we have left is wiring up the computer and diagnosing any problems we might have at startup. So I'm gonna leave that for a part 2 video, which will be coming soon. But if any of you guys are also gamers, you can follow me on a Twitch account that I just created. It's JotaJota STI. Make sure to go ahead, you can follow my stream, go ahead and ask me any questions you may have. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.